Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome back to another Game Time Discussions. I'm Emery Cuzzy. I'm sitting here with Cameron Selby, and we're going to be going over the Week 17 slates, multiple slates, of course. That's what we do here, and super excited. We got lucky. We kind of got spoiled because we've had football multiple days this week. Of course, with college football, but also then, of course, Christmas on Wednesday, Thursday night football, set 3 Saturday games, and then today 8 games, and then tomorrow a game. So, I mean, we got football constantly this week, and it's the best week of the year. It's college. It's the playoffs week for everybody that is still in their fantasy leagues and best ball and all that stuff. So this is a really big week, and we're excited to break it down.
Yeah, and Wednesday there were a couple of dud games. Obviously, we broke down the Kansas City Pittsburgh and then Houston Baltimore. That one went much better than the two game on Saturday
Mm-hmm.
for us. We broke that down pretty much to a T. Every single line that we ended up sending in, whether it be a showdown or the main two gamer, ended up prospering, which was always good to think about. And Thursday it was just we didn't expect a shower storm
Right.
in
Yeah.
the second half, and it was just very bad football. Ended up being a 6-3 game. I think that was the lowest total in the entire season. And then obviously a couple better games yesterday. Um, Good finishes in OT with Cincinnati and Denver, which is huge playoff implications. Cincinnati has to win out. Denver has to lose out for Cincinnati to gain that spot. So that had big impact. And then also last night, a goal line stand at the end for the Rams, which we'll get into some of the tiebreaker situations and playoff scenarios. But basically, a couple of results go their way. They can already clinch the division based on the results of other games today. So it'll be exciting to see what happens with those.
Yeah. There was a lot of, like you said, the Christmas Day slate was kind of boring for most normal fans. For us, we were really excited because we were watching our money go up in our DraftKings. But yes, Brandon, let's make some money today. Absolutely. Talking about some stuff though, let's get started up on the NFL picks that we do every week.
We should have did a parlay.
Absolutely. Only people that were wrong this week were Bleacher Report so far. So it has been 6 for 6 for 5 of the 6 that we track on here. Me and Cam both went 6 for 6. That's
To be fair, we picked all favorites,
yeah,
so we
yeah,
it's not like we did anything you know ballsy or anything in that nature. Spread wise, I think both of us have started. I think I hit two, and then you hit one as well.
right.
Different games, but I don't know. Maybe we could have put our heads together, made some even more money, but it's okay. It's nothing. No love lost there.
No, absolutely not. KC takes down the Steelers by 19. Baltimore blows out the Texans. Texans didn't have anything offensively at all. And then, of course, Seattle and the Bears, boring game 6-3. Chargers blow out Patriots by 33. It's, kind of a trend here. That's why we were picking these teams. That's why we were 6 for 6, is because like you said, these are all favorites. But the only two that were really that close were Cincinnati versus Denver, and the Rams and the Cardinals.
Right, and the Rams actually has held three straight opponents below 10 points.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time in 3 years that has happened. So that's pretty impressive based on the lack of name value on their
Right.
defense. Has been pretty solid. But Kansas City locks up the 1 seed. They're going to be resting their starters, which kind of a double-edged sword for Cincinnati, because I think at this point, even though it's a division rival, they'd probably prefer to keep Cincinnati out over Denver.
Yeah.
So tanking or resting, so to speak, next week against Denver gets Denver in if they hold on to beat undermanned Kansas City team. Baltimore not locked up, but they overtook the division lead. They can clinch. Pittsburgh's lost 3 straight,
Mm-hmm.
but they do have the 5 seed tiebreaker over the Chargers, even despite Chargers win. So their win versus Cincinnati would get them the 5 seed, which would be the all important game because Houston is locked into the 4. And based on their 31-2 blowout loss, everybody wants to play Houston if you're a road team. And anybody that plays them at this point would probably be favored. So, or it comes down
Yeah,
to Pittsburgh
probably.
or Pittsburgh, Baltimore, or the Chargers at this
Yeah.
point. But I would pick them outright, no matter what. Cincinnati, again, they got to win, and then Denver has to lose for them to advance. I mentioned the Rams and the Seahawks being complicated. So essentially, strength of record is kind of what the tiebreaker is going to come down to, even if Seattle did win next week against the Rams, because they would have the identical division record.
Right.
So basically, Seattle will be eliminated today if 3 of these next 5 results happen. If Minnesota beats Green Bay, Buffalo beats the Jets, Washington beats Atlanta, Cleveland beats Miami. If any of those results happen, 3 of them, they will be eliminated. If not, they're going to be playing for the division next week against the Rams.
Craziness. Absolutely insanity, because it's such a, like you said, it just, you can go from basically first to last in that division so fast. But yeah, and then going on to the rest of our picks, everybody's picking Buffalo. That's not really a surprise against the Jets. They're minus 10-point favorites. And then going on to the next one, Minnesota and the Vikings and Green Bay. The Vikings are actually favorites, and we have 5 people picking Green Bay. I'm the only one on Minnesota. So I guess I'll take the home favorite in this situation, and I'll ride with it because that's a really good leverage in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting that it was a 5-1. I just kind of pictured this series splitting 1-1.
Right.
Obviously, if Green Bay ends up winning, Detroit will clinch the 1 seed and the division, so they'll be resting as well next week. But Minnesota would be also locked into the 5 because they have a 2-game advantage over the Green Bay Packers. So big implications there. But that is by far the best game on the slate because it is a pretty gross 8-gamer today, especially with a lot of weather. But being indoors and being, the implications that it has, it should be a very fun game to watch.
Yeah, and then the Raiders 5-1ing this one. Pete Prisco thinks that New Orleans is going to get it done. I don't know what New Orleans is going to do at quarterback, so I guess we'll see today later on.
Spencer Rattler's expected to start, but I picked New Orleans initially, but it's just like there's no basis to go off for either team other than knowing that the Raiders probably prefer to have a better pick than New Orleans, and whoever wins this game is probably going to be a lower pick in the draft. That is literally the only kind of basis to go off of.
Yeah, and then going to the next one, Indy all the way across the board, Tampa Bay all the way across the board, and then we get a game between 2 really bad teams, Jacksonville and Tennessee. I'm picking the home team. That's kind of how I was like going about this one. I mean, it's a close game. And
yeah, even split. That one also going to have some weather. It could also be delayed depending on lightning and all that stuff is what I read. A lot of bad weather today. But yeah, that one's gross game. We'll be targeting that game from a DFS perspective, but that one's just for the higher pick. But Jacksonville losing probably gets more leverage because, obviously are not going to be targeting a quarterback. Tennessee might be.
Right.
And basically Tennessee, the Raiders, and the Giants are all vying for 2 guys that may or may not deserve to be top 5 picks next year.
We will see. We haven't gotten there yet in our breakdown on them. But next up, we are the only 2 picking Cleveland outright against the Dolphins. And I find that interesting because Cleveland is starting Tyler Huntley today. Miami's starting Tyler Huntley today. And hopefully Jameis starts.
Yeah, I mean,
the best way possible.
And again, I inserted these before Tua got ruled out. I'm actually pulling up. No, they're still going with Miami. So it's by far the lowest total on the slate, 33. There's weather. It's 2 bad quarterbacks. I'm actually surprised that, there was so hush-hush about Tua being out because there was no indication he would be. Plus, they were still kind of fighting for a playoff spot.
Right.
So at the end of the day, kind of surprising, but yeah, it's not a game that you really want to watch today. Not at all.
Dustin just said my sports affiliations let me down a lot. Sorry, bud. I feel for you. I really do. Both A&M and A&M. That A&M game was just crazy to end, and of course, it's against Dustin. And then Arizona just 9 points. I don't know what to tell you, man. But next up, Philly and the Cowboys. Everybody picked Philly. This was actually one of my hardest games to pick because Jalen Hurts isn't playing. Kenny Pickett's not good. I would actually take Cooper Rush as a quarterback over him. Like if I had to pick them in a vacuum, which one? But I just think there's more talent on Philly. That's why I went with them. But 6 out of 6 going that way is really surprising to me.
Yeah. Also, it is worth noting CeeDee Lamb is now out for the year as well. So I think it has to do with this is going to be an ugly 20-10 kind of game.
Yeah.
And, basically it's Saquon getting 40 rushing attempts. And I don't know how Dallas is going to keep up.
Fair.
But at the end of the day, yeah, not what you expected going into one of the better rivalries in the sport. But yeah, 6-0 across the board.
And then 6-0 for the Commanders and Falcons. That game is 3.5. We'll talk about that in a second, but
I had a tougher time picking that game than one would think. Being a
really,
6-0, I thought it would be a closer game. Obviously, Atlanta, if they lose, that's a big deal because
mhm.
it's them or the Bucks getting the division title. They've already played each other twice, so it's going to be the result of relying on others. Plus, it's a bad weather game, so if it gets a little ugly, maybe it's just to grind it out. Who has a better run game? And I think at this point, Atlanta might,
Yeah,
based on how
fair.
they've been playing.
Well, I just think Atlanta's starting Michael Penix in his second game. He looked okay in his first game, but they played the Giants. They beat them by 27. It was, obviously going to happen that way anyways. Whoever started at quarterback, and but the Commanders have been really good offensively. We'll actually do the breakdown on the showdown for that one. Detroit and San Francisco. Detroit has to travel to San Francisco. I think San Francisco is going to play this game hard, and that's something that I think is actually. I didn't have a hard time picking this game, but I actually thought about the spread and it's -4, and then I was like, oh, I don't know if I can touch that. So that was my thing. I think Detroit obviously wins. I think they're the better team, top to bottom, but San Francisco is going to play Detroit hard in this game. I
Yeah,
think
I
so.
think a lot of people with the 49ers, even though they're eliminated from the playoffs, they're playing for jobs,
Yeah,
extensions, all that good stuff. Brock Purdy, namely, because he is the big name, the big fish we'll be talking about this offseason of whether or not he deserves to be extended and the amount in which he is going to be extended for. It's going to be very, very expensive, and it's going to be at the casualty of really a ton of core players.
right.
So basically, who's going to stay, who's going to go, all that good stuff is going to be determined the next 2 weeks. But great matchup
Hmm.
as long as the weather holds up because there sound like there'd be a little bit of rain. But he has been playing well from a fantasy perspective in Detroit. 4 straight games, 3 of them over 300 yards passing. The other one was 3 touchdown game to Caleb. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, that's another fun showdown if we get to it because of how small the slate is today. That'd be a really fun one to break down for a little bit if we can.
Yeah, and then going over our spread picks, um, like we said, we kind of hit 3 of the games. We could have probably put more in here, but if you look at it, I had the Chargers -5.5. They won by 33. You had KC at -1.5. They won by 19, and then Cincinnati in an overtime winner to T. Higgins, who broke my heart because I did not have him in my lines.
Yeah, it sounds like whoever is going to be a millionaire on the Best Ball Mania was ones that invested in T. Higgins. So
Yeah, well, and
my
probably Jamar Chase,
Mhm.
probably that whole stack.
our last available best ball team that is in the finals, it's on underdog. It's a triple Cincinnati stack, and T. Higgins is not one of those 3. It's pretty unfortunate, but getting Joe Burrow for 37 and then last night Trey McBride getting 24 for half PPR points was pretty big.
Yeah,
So receivers are going to kind of let us down, but hopefully running backs can pick up the slack today.
yeah, absolutely. And then going on to our actual picks, I picked Washington at -3.5 because I just think I have one team that's capable of putting up points consistently against everybody, and then another team who had struggled prior to this last week, but it was the Giants. So I'm thinking they're probably going to come back to earth. Um, Jacksonville +1. You have Tennessee -1. Those 2 teams are playing each other. Minnesota -1. You have Green Bay +1.5. Those teams are playing each other. You got it before I did, so you
Got
can.
that little half point buffer.
Yeah, and then we both picked Cleveland to win. So we picked the
Yeah,
plus
that
three and a
spread is
half.
still there. It's not like it's moved at all, even without the Tua news.
Yeah, I'm
So
so surprised by that.
now
Honestly.
it's, I guess, down to 3, but still worth taking if you're picking Cleveland outright today.
Yeah, and then let's go over. I'll let you start telling us about some weather issues because I know that there's a
So
ton.
there is good amount of weather today to kind of on. I mentioned Tennessee, Jacksonville. There may or may not be a delay, but a lot of rain expected, and on top of that, some winds as well. The Jets and Bills is raining right now. It's going to probably let up, but it'll be just kind of really slick, wet fields, and then possible winds. And then Tampa Bay, Carolina, possible scattered showers, not necessarily too concerning from a fantasy perspective. Miami, Cleveland, even if it was the most beautiful day, we would not invest in any skill players today at that game. But off and on rain, and very windy. So basically, both defenses are viable because it's probably going to be a 3-6 game, similar to Thursday night. And then the Sunday night's game, which is going to impact our showdown, Atlanta and Washington. Very likely there will be some rain, so we'll see how that checks it down because there's a lot of tough decisions to make because of pricing
Right.
on that slate.
Brandon said we need a weatherman, and I completely agree with him. I would love to have like a cut scene where we go to like, here's Brandon with the weather. That would be hilarious. That'd be great. I think that would be a cool skit. But going on to talk about the actual slate. This is the early only slate. We have 5 quarterbacks, I believe, on the early only. Is it 4?
It's 4.
4 quarterbacks on the early only. I apologize. First guy, of course, is going to be Josh Allen, as you see on the board. Josh Allen by himself is always okay. I don't know who to put him with. I don't know who his best receiver is going to be any given week, but he is got upside of 40 points, and that's you have to play him.
Yeah, I mean, they're all very, very consistent. Even Khalil Shakir, who's been kind of a steady rock, put up a pretty big dud last week, and his price dropped because of it. But they're 10-point favorite. That doesn't help. They're also possible weather. That doesn't help. So let's just root for rushing touchdown, tush pushes, and that's how he gets the 30. You don't have to worry about stacking him and just go in other areas.
It was the weirdest game last week where they almost lost to New England. Mm-hmm. So I don't see it happening again like that against another bad team. He played really well against Detroit and the Rams, who are both, teams that are going to be in the playoffs.
The only person I would probably consider stacking him with, and it's interesting to say because it typically doesn't correlate, is James Cook.
Oh, okay.
And it's because he's been so good, and he put up a 30-point burger last week and did well. But he's showing pretty good leverage because there's about 10 running backs above him in terms of ownership. So if you're able to get a Josh Allen plus James Cook, Josh Allen by far the most popular quarterback, but they're not really stacking him with the James Cook. So it is pricey, but if you can get there, that's probably the only way I would go if I'm going to do a stack. Obviously, 3 of the last 4 games over 100, getting that bonus. He also has 2 touchdown upside each of the last 2 games with 2 scores, and then he has another 2-score game back in week 11 against the Chiefs.
Yeah, and Josh Allen is showing the most ownership at the quarterback position, tied with Jordan Love. We're on the early only, but on the main slate, him and Jordan Love are the top 2 guys currently. So at 15.8%, which I think is a reasonable amount for Josh Allen if you were going to go that way. And then going on to our next quarterback, talking about Baker Mayfield. Tampa Bay's playing Carolina. Carolina is one of the worst defenses in football. We're going to add Bucky Irving and Rachaad White in there. Bucky Irving is our thumbnail, so obviously we have to talk about him. Mike Evans is got some things that we'll have to talk about because he has, and I don't know if you know them off the top of your head, but he has some contract implications. So if he goes over,
it's incentives and also extending his own personal record, which he started every single year of his career with 1,000 yards. And he is off pace because he did miss 3 games. He needs to average about, 92, 93 yards to get there the rest of the year. So definitely a good way to get that is being a home favorite in fair weather against the Carolina Panthers. Obviously, he's had a bunch of targets. Last week, it was very strange that he didn't really get much look until the very last drive in the second half. But Jalen McMillan has been really stepping it up lately and killing Sterling Shepard today. But he has 3 straight games, at least 16 points. He almost had a second touchdown that was ripped away from forgetting his name, but is one of Dallas's safeties for their go-ahead score late in the game. But yeah, he's been really steady, being 4,600, too cheap. He's going to be one of the higher value plays on the slate today. And then Bucky Irving, killing best match. He's been doing really, really well. On top of that, Rachaad White, game-losing fumble last week, another confidence booster his way. And then you look at the last time he played Carolina, 30.5 fantasy points, over 180 all-purpose yards, and a score. He's got pass catching upside as well. Yeah, there's a reason he's one of the most the best plays today.
Yeah, and I think on main right now he is number 3. He's 25% owned. So I think that's a fair ownership. Rachaad White, though, like you said, he's $1,000 cheaper. some offense does weird things, but he only had 3 rushing attempts. So I'd expect Bucky to get the bulk. He did have 8 targets, but I'd expect Bucky to go get the bulk. And then we have to talk about Kate Otten is still out. So
Payne Durham.
why not?
$200 play last week on the down, which worked out. Had 7 targets, 5 for 29. Baker likes targeting tight ends. So if you want to be a little bit different on your Baker doubles, I think the least popular double option or secondary option is going to be Payne Durham. He also saves a ton of salary. So there's a lot of cheap tight ends to kind of look around to be a little different today.
Yeah, and then on the other side, because we're not going to put Carolina up there, but I did want to mention the fact that running back Chuba Hubbard is out for the season. He is on IR, so we're gonna have to talk about some of the cheap running backs for them. But we do have some bring back options, basically.
Yeah, it's very interesting with the there's conflicting reports because there's some Carolina beat writers saying that Mike Boone is going to be the next man up, and then there's also projections and props and all that stuff that is kind of saying like Raheem Blackshear is going to be. Either way, they're both minimum price. So if you want a complete dart throw that I don't think will be too crazy popular, you can go with one of those guys. But I probably, if I'm going to bring back at all, I probably just want to go ahead and go with the $5,700 Adam Thielen.
Yeah, fair.
It's a better matchup against the secondary. And yeah, he's chilling there. Jalen Coker's had some up and down games, but some boom games. Obviously, 80-yard touchdown a couple weeks ago against the Cowboys. Xavier Leggett's a true game time decision. So if he is out, that just gives Coker and even David Moore, who's 4,100, a little bit of a boost.
Fair. And then let's go to our next quarterback. That was Baker. We're going to do Aiden O'Connell.
Oh boy.
He's he's playing New Orleans, so I guess you can make the case that it's a reasonable matchup. He's been mid to best, but there's some guys that we can stack him with that have been pretty good. His tight end, of course, Brock Bowers. Jacoby Myers has been solid. I don't know what running back we're even going to want to talk about truly because Alexander Madison.
Both of them scored last week. They're both cheap. Alex Madison's projecting better. Abdullah also has pass catching upside. I don't know, but they're there.
Yeah.
If you want to go that way, I probably would just side with what we've done before, which is just put in Jacoby and Brock Bowers, and nobody's really going to stack Aiden O'Connell. Right now, he's showing kind of middle of the pack of the early only slate at only 7% owned, but 5,100 kind of saves a little bit. But then obviously getting up to a $6,000 Jacoby and a $6,700 Brock Bowers. You got to spend up there and then kind of have to do value elsewhere at that point.
Dustin's being a wild man. He's going to stack Bryce with Adam Thielen this week. No, we actually had Bryce on our original on when we released this earlier in the week, and Bryce was one of our quarterbacks. We actually we pulled him out of the player pool, but that's just because you can't play everybody.
It's not a bad option. He just was kind of last man. And on top of that, Joe Flacco taking over for Anthony Richardson, who we'll get to in a second. Saving a lot more. And on top of that, he's kind of came through for us recently. Whereas Bryce Young really stepping it up lately, but really he's only had one true boom game. Was that just a matter of circumstance, or can he continue doing that?
Right.
And on top of that, I think ownership wise, Bryce Young's one of the more popular plays. Or no, he's actually not, showing about 3.5%. So yeah, that's pretty good leverage stack. If you wanted to go the other route and just do, I'd actually, if you wanted to do that, doing a Carolina double and a double bring back sounds really interesting to me. We might build that if we have some time.
What about a Carolina single and a double bring back?
That works too.
Yeah.
But if I had to guess, I would say Xavier Legette misses today.
Yeah.
And so being 4,300 Jalen Coker kind of excites me a little bit, or minimum price running back.
Fair.
Either way.
And then going over to the next game, got Joe Flacco, like you just said. He comes in spot starts and does really well for his receivers that are way too cheap because they expected Anthony Richardson to start. So you can get all three of these guys in here. Indy, okay. Indy's tight end. I don't even know who you'd pick. I guess probably Kyler Granson. I don't know. But we have to talk about JT real quick. I mean, he did have 20 runs last week for 218, 3 touchdowns. Didn't touch a freaking pass, but it doesn't matter when you have 42 points. He's the guy. So
yeah, he went up $1,000. Obviously, they're being a touchdown favorite and have less competition through goal line rushes and touches with Anthony Richardson, who had back-to-back games with rushing touchdowns as well. It sets up really nicely for him to have a big day. And I wonder if he kind of gets squeezed today because Flacco is actually pulling ownership. So it's not like we're being different by doing an Indy stack.
Right.
But with all the value opening up at running back, JT is now only 22%. But I feel like everybody's wanting to get to Saquon, which is, $700 more. Bucky Irvin, you talked about being one of the more popular options. Brees Hall is showing ownership in the afternoon slate, at least. Aaron Jones is going to be showing ownership as well. And then, there's other options that are going to be kind of maybe condensing that down to where he might be under 20%, which will be kind of interesting when we kind of do final looks.
On Maine, he's actually 15.6. So that's pretty reasonable for a guy that just went for 42 freaking fantasy points. And they want to lean on, especially in a game where, your quarterback comes in. You're playing the Giants. The Giants. They just got 34 put up on them. They can only score 7 points. Like, don't bring back in this game unless I guess it's neighbors.
I'm not
but even still, like, it's not worth it
in this game.
But yeah, and then JT is a guy that you can get to if you want to. But if you do attack the passing game, Josh Downs is the first I look at. And I want to know, you have stats for games when he played with Flacco?
Yeah, so games, sample size this year, he has not had a game below 12 fantasy points.
Okay.
Namely, I'm trying to pull up his
which weeks here. I can tell you what weeks.
It was 5, 6, and I think it was 9 and 10.
5, 6, 8, 9, and 10.
5, 6, 8, 9, and 10. Yeah. So Pittman had a 100-yard game in there. He was kind of more up and down, but Downs. That's why he's one of my favorite value plays today. He had a 100-yard game, but basically he's getting 9 or 10 targets every single week that he does play with Joe Flacco, which is welcoming to see.
Mm-hmm.
And him being only 4,800, he really stands out to me. And he probably, I don't know if you need to do a double with Joe. I know he's the type of quarterback you want to do that with, but because Alec Pierce doesn't play snaps, but when he is on the field, he catches 40-yard passes. Like, it's hard to, pure example was against Pittsburgh when he had 0 catches. Against Jacksonville. He had 0 catches the entire 3.5 quarters, and then he had 3 for 134 and a score in the final 7 minutes of the game.
Yeah. I mean, I would go consistency, and that's Josh Downs.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think that obviously the other guy on this team, Michael Pittman, is the most talented receiver, and he's been pretty off with Anthony Richardson at the helm. So, but during his games, he missed week 10. He had 2.4 in week 9. I think he got injured in that game.
Mm-hmm.
But in 5 and 6, 12 plus both games, that's pretty solid for 4,700. So if I was going to double, this would be my second guy.
He had less than 40 yards in both games. He just scored touchdowns. But then there's also duds in there. And then he's also just kind of on and off the injury report all season with the back injury. Right now, on the early only slate, both Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce are showing below 8% owned. So decent ownership leverage there. But I still don't know if I would do that when it comes down to it.
Josh Downs on Maine is getting 18.6.
Yeah.
So I think that's about right. He's third of all receivers. So going on to the next quarterback.
I think that's it.
Oh, is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Nothing down there. Okay, cool. Let me take these off and we'll build some lines.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about some running backs too.
Yeah, so I want to hear your stance on Saquon today. Obviously, most popular skill player.
Yeah.
He's getting a ton of ownership as well. How in love with him are you? Are you wanting to get that high? How often are you wanting to get up there?
I'd expect them to lean on him. Obviously, he'll probably get like 22 to 25 rushes, which will be insane. But at the same time, I know Dallas is expecting that. It does. Okay, I guess the real question is, let's see if he has the pass work from Pickett. So,
well, he had no targets last week, but he had 29 carries for 150, 2 scores, 30 points.
He scares the shit out of me, but I think I'd have to fade him. And that's something that. So right now, Saquon is second in overall roster percent. I hate fading Saquon. He always shows me, but like I just 8,600 when you can get kind of other places. I'm not going to really be playing Dallas.
It's not like there's a ton of there are 2 Dallas players I'm actually interested in based on price today, and that's Jake Ferguson, basically being 3,700, getting hopefully 7 to 10 targets. I think he's a very safe tight end. A lot of value tight end options though, so if he's going to be the highest owned, maybe you don't have to force him in.
Right.
And then Kevontae Turpin being a gadget guy, just
Yeah.
he might just be a guy that gets 6 to 8 touches today, be basically no owned or not owned at all. Jalen Tolbert is a guy that he's game time decision based on a finger injury, where he injured himself on a contested catch the last week. But yeah, Kavonte Turpin is showing less than 4% owned. He's $3,400. So that was going to be the guy that stands out to me. There's not a ton of receivers that are values today below $4,000. So just want to point those two out as bring back options.
Okay. Well, Saquon scares me, but I think I'm going to get away as much as I can, at least. Early only, though, you might get a little bit more of him, obviously, because there's less options. JT, we just talked about, great option. James Cook, 30 points in last 2 games average. Bucky Irving is the thumbnail. So all these guys up here, do I have this? Yeah, I have it not checked. That's crazy. Okay, everybody up top is good.
Yeah.
So I that was the correct.
On top of that, Brees Hall, who we're not really going to talk about much, they're 10-point dogs. His not only has his usage been inconsistent, but his efficiency has been awful this year. And it is a solid matchup. Possible weather might give him a couple more touches, but I would rather just kind of get down. One name that sticks out to me is all the way down at 5,400 is Tajay Spears. Tony got ruled out. He just battling ankle injury after ankle injury, but he finally was ruled out. I don't know if he'll sit the rest of the season, but he is today. And each of the last 2 games, Tajay Spears, 2 touchdowns. He also has pass catching upside. You see the 7 targets, 87 receiving yards,
right,
and then 4 targets, 39 receiving yards last week. He isn't great running the football, but guess what? He's a PPR back. He's 5,400. They are favored, and it is a pretty good matchup. Jacksonville's bad at basically everything defensively. So yeah, he is one of my favorite running backs on the entire slate today.
Fair. Yeah, I think he's pretty solid. And if you look, obviously he fell into the end zone a few times, but that doesn't change the fact that he has upside of playing well against a Jacksonville team that's been bad. I mean, last time against Jacksonville, he had 3.3, but I mean, he didn't get the same touches he's not going to get the same amount of touches, obviously.
Yeah, and then we stay in that same game though. From a couple weeks ago, on the other side of it, Tony Pollard had over 100 yards rushing.
Yeah,
that day. So and on top of that, basically 100 touchdowns that day. But also the pop rank is going to be somebody that's been absolutely insane the last couple of weeks. It's Brian Thomas Jr. at only 6,800 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He is the most rostered receiver today.
Fair enough. Absolutely agree with that.
So easily doing a single, just plug both of them in and just see what happens.
Yeah.
It's not going to be that, crazy expensive. And I think the upside for both of them is way too good to ignore.
Fair. Okay, let's build some lines, because down at the bottom, you kind of get into the weeds. Like I said, though, there is an option if you would like to play a Carolina running back. You don't have to. I don't know that we have to get that low, but
no, I don't think we do. So let's start off with, what do you think, a Baker?
That's fine. There's 2 people I want to build with, so Baker's first. That's fine.
Okay, so I want to put Bucky and Mike in there.
Bucky and Mike. Okay.
Does that make sense? Is that uncomfortable?
No, that's cool.
All right.
I mean, is it uncomfortable money-wise? Maybe.
Yes, it is. Damn right it is.
But defensively, we have some options. So let's talk about defense real quick.
So, yeah, there's bad weather games. There's gross quarterback games. By far, the highest ownership is the Raiders against the Saints, which, understandable. The Saints just scored 0 points on primetime football. But the Raiders are without Max Crosby. They've had, 6 points, I think, each of the last 4 weeks, which is pretty solid for somebody 2,600 and favored. But being 35% owned is a lot to stomach. I'd rather kind of think about a Philly against a CD-less Dallas team.
Okay.
Or even if you wanted to go the other side of that and say, hey, Kenny Pickett sucks and we're fading Saquon. Dallas is only 2,500 and they're showing less than 10% owned. Those are kind of the 3 options, at least in the early only, that stick out to me. It's not like I'm going to fade the Raiders entirely today, but yeah, if it's going to be that high owned, I think all of them present the same upside. And we did like a blind ranking. I'm going to throw in Cleveland in there, but they're in the 3 o'clock.
Yeah, they're
slate.
Later.
But we ranked the 3 of them and we were on the same page with the Raiders being 2. And so I think Raiders is somebody that we can plug in, but I don't think we have to get there.
Yeah, Cleveland is our most I'm most excited about Cleveland. They're first, and then the Raiders, and then Philly versus or Dallas versus Kenny Pickett. So, but they're also priced that way, so that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So,
and then if price didn't matter, my personal favorite would be Philly, but I don't know if we'll be able to get there on this line. But
31, we can try. What bring back do you want? Do you just want Adam Thielen, or do you want to go with Coker?
Can we try a
Calvin Ridley's price is cheap.
Yeah, he just stays in the mid 5K range the entire year. And I feel like because of Chico Conquo being a popular tight end and Tajay Spears pulling ownership, I think he'll just kind of be overlooked.
Yeah.
Let me actually pull up his ownership.
It's not that low, actually. I just looked.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
It's 15%.
Yeah, so. it's more than I thought.
Okay, well, that's fine. I didn't want to play him anyway.
But Adam Thielen or Coker?
Let's go with Thielen for now.
Okay.
And I'm not opposed to just not doing a bring back.
That's fine.
I think Thielen is pretty safe.
Okay, and then I think that Tajay plus Brian
put
just
Tajay,
makes so much
Brian.
sense. I mean, it's just such an easy way to go. And then we can get a tight end and a double bring back. What's up? You said you like Jake Ferg, but we're playing Philly.
I did like Jake Ferg, and I still don't think that is as crazy if you wanted to play a player versus a defense, because I don't think that Jake Ferguson is going to go for 30.
Well, he's by far the best value on the slate. So, I mean, 2.77 to the next best is Payne Durham at 2.36.
That'd be a triple.
That'd be crazy.
I mean, I'm not crazy opposed to it if you think Baker's just going to be the guy to go off today. Right now, he's showing the third highest owned quarterback, but he's the second highest projected, second highest value.
And we leave Jalen McMillan off our line.
Yeah.
Out of all the guys, we're like, hey, the chalky guy will just I don't know who's more chalky actually between him and Mike Evans. Let's see. Roster wise, Mike Evans is 18, Jalen's 15. So okay.
Kind of
right about the same. But throw him in there. What do you think? Do you want to go down a defense and then try to get somebody a little bit more?
Let's go down if we went down to Dallas, that's enough for a Josh Downs.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
As a single
I like that
option.
That is a great line.
Good line.
Yeah. That line makes a lot of sense. I love Brian Thomas, Tajay stack. I love the stack we got. Our standalones are the best values on the slate, and then you have Dallas's defense, and we're hoping that that goes well. They're one of the cheaper defenses, though, so
yeah,
it's fine. The other guy I want to build is Joe Flacco.
All right,
Joe.
Let's do Joe. And are you fine doing a single stack of him, or are you wanting to force a second option in there?
We can do a single to start.
Okay, so
48.
Obviously, Josh Downs is our favorite by far. Receiver wise, I don't even know if it's necessary to get up to any of these options without being stacked.
Yeah,
I mean, of course, playing Mike Evans would be cool, but last time I don't believe he had the strongest game against Carolina. I'm a liar.
He had
18. Yeah, 29 points score.
And I think he's going to be targeted a lot. Yeah. So I do like playing him. Let's put Philly in and see if we can't keep him in this time. We have a cheaper set. So
okay.
Running back wise, we want Bucky.
I can't avoid Tajay, at least on the early only, and he might be my highest exposed running back today.
Okay.
I want to get your thoughts real quick on Kendre Miller, because he is not projecting well. And I know he didn't play, as many snaps as people would have thought, but they were also down 34-0 very game. So, he had the most touches, wasn't the most efficient, but being against the Raiders, a little bit softer matchup at home, indoors, like 5,500. Does he go overlooked today?
I think so. I mean, based on that price, I think it's ridiculous. He didn't play the most snaps, but I would love to see his first half snaps. I wish we had that ability, because he had 39% of the snaps and Jordan Mims had 45% of the snaps. But at the same time,
most of that was towards the end of the game.
All, yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like all into the game stuff. Jamal Williams came in. Adam Princess came in. Like,
I mean, we think about the game before where Alvin Kamara went out. Jordan Mims was a healthy scratch,
Yeah.
and then Kendrick Miller outsnapped Jamal Williams 26-6,
Yeah.
and
So
was pretty solid with his touches. He's showing 2.5% owned in the early only slate. So I
that's
just wanted to bring that up because it's not a terrible way to go, and I just don't think anybody else is thinking about that right now.
that's super interesting. That's one of the best tournament plays we've heard today. That's for sure. If I threw him in, you could go up to a Brock Bowers if you wanted to in that same game.
Yeah, I would hope to get to a Brock at some point today.
And
It would
then
be really cool.
what about we bring back Brian Thomas, obviously, because he's one of my favorite plays on the slate.
Okay.
6,100. You can leave $400 on the table. Come down here and get Thielen for that stack. Garrett Wilson against Buffalo. Meh.
Devontae Smith always kills Dallas.
It's fine.
Not a terrible option. I don't think that he'll be too highly owned because just everybody wants to play either Saquon or AJ Brown today. Right now, he is showing as where are you?
If you had
19%.
If you had $400 extra dollars to get a defense, where would you go?
400 doesn't get me anywhere because I prefer.
You want the Bills?
Yeah, well, I mean, Bills are the only option because I prefer Philly outright over all of Indy, Tampa Bay.
Yeah, we're 100 short. Because I'd love to get the Bills. That would be the best option there. Let's see. What if Brock Kendra? I mean, we're trying to build this line with Kendra. We don't have to build it with him, though.
Well, yeah, take out Kendra and put back in Philly. Let's see how much money we have. 58.
Yeah.
Okay. If we went down to a just spitballing, but if we went all the way down to Cavante, I brought him up earlier, and he's not being heavily owned at 34. That's enough for a JT. And we also are playing Indy, so I know it's not a perfectly correlated build, but I don't hate that as an option. Also can afford Mike Evans.
Yeah, I was gonna say we just play Mike's.
Or if you wanted to,
and then you go down
to the
Buffalo.
Yeah, and then the last thought was going down to the Raiders defense. You have enough for Saquon. So you'd prefer a Mike Evans Bills over a Raiders Saquon today?
Yes. And do you know what's crazy? We had this conversation yesterday about Trey McBride and the Chargers versus Marvin Harrison and New England, and then New England, of course, -4'd it and whatnot. And Trey McBride almost caught them up.
Yep,
almost. He was a little short, but yeah, that was a crazy game yesterday for that situation. But
but you called that wide receiver too, though, because Marvin Mims was either him or Devon Bailey, and Marvin Mims obviously catching 2 touchdowns broke the slate.
Thank you.
So
appreciate you, Marvin.
Yep.
Yeah, I would probably side Bills, Mike. I just think the Bills have a lot of upside.
That would also be doing 2 Tampas, just for the record.
Yeah.
Don't really care, but I'm just pointing it out. I think I prefer the other side, actually.
Interesting.
What do you guys think?
Yeah. Tell
Brennan,
us. Either
Dustin,
way.
whoever else is watching. Do you have a preference between Saquon plus Raiders versus Mike Evans plus Buffalo? And maybe if we end up playing this line, which is a really strong line either way. I'm not saying that it's not, but if it came down to just playing one Joe Flacco early only line, what would be your preference?
Yeah, and we'll go to the next, so y'all can send it in there, and we'll talk about it in a minute. But
based on Dusty saying he has Mike Evans in the line, I would assume, yep, he ends up staying with Mike. So yeah, we can go ahead and stay Mike.
Okay. Well, either way, y'all saw both sides of it, but it's a fun line to talk about because I didn't expect to get a Buffalo Bills defense at all today.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to get up to them, that's
also
huge.
Just for the record, if you want to correlate it a little bit, James Cook being 72, similar price, leave a couple extra $100.
Yeah, here.
That's same fair. Upside to me. Just worth mentioning. Last time the Bills did play the Jets, that was the one game James Cook missed, but Ray Davis had over 100 all-purpose yards, including a lot in the receiving game. So, and on top of that, we brought up his game log earlier, and he's had, a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah.
A lot of touchdowns.
Well, let's go over to the afternoon slate. It's going to be a quick slate,
Very
honestly.
easy to break down. You fade one game and you just put one of their defense in and play the entire other game.
And there's only one quarterback Cam was really wanting to talk about, I feel like, on this slate, which is fine with me. I like it when it's easy.
Well, yeah, to me, it's just you either play Sam Darnold build or Jordan Love build. That's basically what it comes down to on this slate. I'm not playing DTR. I'm not playing Tyler Huntley. You can miss me with that though. Tyler Huntley, worth mentioning, he's only $4,000. So minimum price quarterback. If both Jordan Love and Sam Darnold suck, and Tyler gets to 10 to 12, then it's going to work out for you. He's actually the highest valued quarterback for what it's worth. But I just am much more comfortable going the other game is the highest total on the entire slate today.
Yeah, Jordan Love is showing 72% roster, and I don't
think it'll be
that. Yeah, well, I don't think it'll be that high first off, but also it's hard not to eat the chalk.
I bet you it'll be something about like 45 for one and then 30 for the other. And so it gets about 75 to 80%. And then, 10% just kind of
naturally
throw in the other two.
Yeah, because right now Tyler Huntley showing 2.7%. Dorian Thompson-Robinson is 1.4. I don't think that will stay.
Yeah. And ownership on 2 games for RotoWire always kind of
it's a little.
You got to take it with a grain of salt because Devon Achane is not going to be 87% owned.
I'd like to get to him though, but that's not the point. Talking about Jordan Love, he's been second on this team basically. Has been the main guy. Love's been fine, mid-teens type of guy. His price kind of reflects this. Nothing special basically, but
he has not had many boom games this year. A lot of that has to do with just them not throwing a ton,
right,
and not being behind a ton. But the last time they did play Minnesota, they were behind a ton, and he had his best fantasy game of the season, going for nearly 400 yards, 34 fantasy points. He broke the slate in the second half, despite three interceptions. Again, our qualm always with him is just how do you stack him? Because everything's valuable or of value. Christian Watson not expected to play, but that opens up a Dontayvion Wicks who's at a season low 3,900. Tucker Kraft 3,900 makes a lot of sense. Romeo Doubs has been a good red zone threat. Jaden Reed, where's the boom? I don't know why they just aren't not.
Yeah, I don't know. They just don't like Jaden Reed.
But he started the year so strong, and then obviously has had a dud since. Ton of duds actually, but him being only 5,900, great spot. And the last time he did play the Vikings, 7 for 139 a score. Romeo Doubs did not play that game, but Tucker Kraft caught 2 touchdowns in that.
That was a primetime slate, I believe.
They were afternoon game. After the Rams, where he caught touchdowns, but he caught one of them in the second half against Minnesota. One of his 4 second half touchdowns.
Yeah, so I just think the question really goes, so Christian Watson, we don't expect to play. Josh Jacobs, if you wanted to play Jobs in a Minnesota side of the game, he's been really good. 20 plus points in almost every game, so
he's as safe as they come on this slate in terms of the running back position. But at the same time, it's not a great matchup. Minnesota's really good against running backs. Last time they played, again, it was a very negative game script, but did have a dud against Minnesota. I believe he was held under
11.8. He had 51, but he only rushed 9 times in that game. So because it was a weird game, it was a really weird game.
But also Minnesota just doing well. It's just, can you get to him? Is my biggest thing today.
Yep, and then going to the guys that we have to actually try to get to. Who is your favorite double? Because you don't have to double Jordan Love, but if you go to double Jordan Love,
the thing is you're probably going to organically triple on this slate, because who are you going to play on the Cleveland Miami side? I don't really want to spend up to anybody on that slate, or on that game rather. So just pick one of their defenses and just. You got 8 other spots to choose
from. Give me Achane, and that's it, basically.
I don't even know if I want Achane, just because last time we played with Tyler Huntley and Skylar Thompson, he was a complete nothing burger, and all of his upside has been via the pass game and pass catching work, because he has not been efficient on the ground. He did have over 100 yards last week with a garbage time touchdown, but mostly it's been because he's a wide receiver 2 playing running back 1.
Right.
Being 7,700, I'd probably prefer Josh Jacobs. Do you feel differently if you had to pick one?
No, I probably prefer Josh Jacobs, but I'd like to get Josh Jacobs in a Minnesota stack, probably.
Yeah.
I think Justin Jefferson is a guy that you kind of have to get to. Aaron Jones on the other side is a guy you have to get to.
Yep.
Like, it's really this game, like Cam said, and then kind of building your lineup with cheap guys otherwise. But if you just look at pricing alone, Jerry Judy's 6,500. You can't play him. Cedric Tillman's out, so Elijah Moore 4,300. Okay, reasonable. But and then Njoku's also out. So
Jordan Akins 27.
like those
Not
guys
bad.
are fine, but I don't know, man. It's really hard to
so
get behind any of those guys. So
let's do a quick build.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start with Jordan Love. Let's put in Reed and Dobbs and Tucker Kraft.
okay,
So I want to start, and I want to bring back.
Tucker.
It's gonna be hard to be very different on this slate. Maybe we can tweak it in a second. But yeah, Justin Jefferson. I can't ignore Aaron Jones' 600 as well. But yeah, Jefferson had his true boom we're accustomed to seeing this past week with 2 pounds, the game winner against Seattle. But last time he did play Green Bay, once again had a strong game. So yeah, him being the only stud receiver on the slate truly, because Tyreek Hill without Tua just has not done anything this year. I think you just kind of have to plug him in.
Yep, I agree completely. And then build the rest of the line. Which defense would you rather play?
Cleveland.
Perfect. 2,400. My gosh.
Miami's much more popular according to Roto. But you save $800. They're at home. I don't even. We're both picking them to win outright, anyways. But yeah, that's kind of what I think about.
Is it possible to just go H.N. Jones and then finish?
Maybe. I don't know what that leaves us.
43 for Elijah Moore. That would be our only Cleveland player.
Yeah. What about also wanted to mention Jerome Ford. He had over 100 rushing yards last week, and he also scored a touchdown. He had, I think, 24 fantasy points. Excuse me, he didn't hit 100 rushing yards. He had over 100 yards and a score. He has pass catching upside, obviously, with Nick Chubb out as well. He has the bulk of the touches. 5,900, reasonable. But I don't know if we plugged him in addition to Aaron Jones, what else we're spinning up to.
Yeah, so if I pull this, that's like
6,100.
Jonnu Smith, that's crazy price. That's a crazy price.
I mean, he's been the safest Miami player per price.
Well, yeah, for sure, but
late,
it's Tyler Huntley.
It's Tyler Huntley.
It's not Tua.
So
I'd rather just put in HN or even guess Josh Jacobs. I don't know how you can make this line. It's not as realistic, but there's another $3,900 Green Bay player if you want to do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can only play up to 5 of the same team, so
we'd be good.
It would have to do that.
4,300 though. I think Elijah Moore is my favorite option.
Elijah Moore,
yeah, because of price and role on the team. What did he do? Probably nothing, right?
No.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. I wonder what RotoWire's optimal is.
Wicks is by far the highest value on the slate.
RotoWire has 5 Green Bay players in their optimal. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
They have 5 guys. Yes, Gail, we will be hopefully cashing out this today. I know that you got in on that Christmas slate, so that was an awesome slate for us.
Yeah, it was very fun. And we're going to finish the year with a bang. So we're trying to figure out how many Green Bay players is too many, and it's probably not enough. But yeah, we're legally trying to make the most Green Bay, Minnesota.
Yeah, let me put in something. So I'm going to leave Jordan Love. I want to put Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson. TJ Hawkinson's really showing up pretty good, and he's only $200 difference, so I think we can find a way to get to him.
That's fun.
I just don't know who can take out.
I don't think we need HN.
Okay, if we don't need HN, who do we need?
No,
because that's the problem. There's no one else. It's like HN, and do I want to play a 5th running back Green Bay player? I'd rather just play HN
or Ford.
We can play Ford. And then I was saying Hawkinson's 4,500. Is there a guy
1,600 remainder? What's up?
You can go up to?
Shoot.
Or is
65
this an option?
That's enough for Judy.
Not there.
That's a lie. That's enough for.
Let's do it this way. That's not the right one.
So 3 minutes triple bring back.
Yeah,
And
3-3, and then another. I don't know.
I mean, the biggest thing is you can save money on this slate. So,
Yeah, no one is gonna have no one. I mean, there's gonna be obviously lineups that are gonna look the same. The optimal lineup actually does get to 50,000, which
does
is
it really?
crazy to me. It does play everybody that we just talked about. I'll show you too. Actually, it's a pretty cool line. Let's just go over it.
Yale says that are you guys on the Jacobs or the Green Bay pass more? I prefer the Green Bay pass game side, but Josh Jacobs has been the consistent one. Just before you did say that, I did mention one of his worst games of the year did come against Green Bay earlier in the season, but they were also trailing by 28 at halftime, essentially. So um, it depends on the game script you want to play, but I don't really fault you for going with a Green Bay and then let's just stack Minnesota instead because we're playing all the same Minnesota players anyways.
Right.
It's just what quarterback do you prefer?
It's this Cam. That's the one.
This is the optimal line. Double or basically all the expensive running backs, triple Green Bay receiver. That's a good line. But I mean,
like it's a hilarious line.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
That is a funny ass line. I don't think it could be optimal because there's just too much to feed. But like
that's a really strong cash game if you do play cash games.
Yeah, it's really good cash. And this is something that we use the tools that we are able to use. The roster percentage is actually pretty low compared to what you'd expect, so that's always nice too. So it's a little bit more contrarian than expected.
Interesting.
It does not. You could probably get up to him if you just took out, say, Achan and maybe went down somewhere. Let's try.
Yeah, if you went to put Jones there, put JJ in the flex, and then go down to Tucker Kraft. But then that's wait, that's too many Green Bay players.
Yeah. I was actually gonna say we could take one of these guys out.
Well, then put in Achan over Jacobs, and then just be happy with ourselves.
Okay,
I'm not happy about it, but it's hard to get just completely happy on this slate.
Well, we're still wrong, so it doesn't matter.
Well, that's why I was saying go back to Tucker Kraft. No, over Wicks.
Over Wicks.
Oh, yeah. Well,
no, they're the same price.
You're right. I'm sorry.
So we're gonna have to finagle it, but basically, you're playing as many Minnesota Green Bay players as you can. As you can see, we already have 5 of them. You're playing a defense for the other game because both of them are playing backup quarterbacks. You can pick your favorite players up top. I really wish you could play everybody. Honestly, Jordan Addison has been really good.
Mm-hmm.
So what does it look like? I want to do a Sam Darnold build. That's it. We're doing it. We're going to do Sam Darnold.
You can't get away from him.
I know.
You just can't.
I know. Jordan Addison, 6,300.
Basically, is your triple option Addison or
TJ.
TJ is my thought on this.
I'm going to play Josh because in this line, it makes sense. We're going to go down to defense, 24. We're going to play tight end Tucker Kraft. We're going to play...
No money.
Oh, no. I got it. We're good. We're going to play TJ. And then we're going to play Wicks. So Green Bay side. Holy crap. Can you play that? Is that legal?
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't. So you'd rather play for Minnesota than for Green Bay?
No, I just was like, I want to build a Sam Darnold side of it just to look.
Okay.
So I
think the biggest way to get different is leaving money on the table. I mentioned earlier, it seems far fetched when you have 1,600 remainder, but if you like both tight ends and you don't want to play a Jaden Reed or you don't want to pay for either high end running back, I think it's completely viable. Just because it should be, going as however the game script goes of this Green Bay Minnesota game.
Yeah, and like we keep saying, backup quarterbacks on one side, then you go to the other side. It's like this is going to be. What is the over under on that game? Just wondering if you have it.
It is
because that would
49 now.
What's the other one? Just wondering for both games.
What were you saying? Oh, for Cleveland and Miami, 33.
Yeah, so that tells you everything about why we feel the way we do. Let me switch over to now. If you're watching,
we got about 30 minutes until inactives come out. We're waiting on A couple things, but nothing. Everything's pretty straightforward, and nothing unless something shocking happens. Obviously, there were some shocking inactives or rule outs yesterday, but unless something happens like that again, I expect it to kind of go as we think it'll go.
Yeah. So, do you have a quarterback, I guess, that you want to talk about or start with? We obviously already talked about all the quarterbacks on the earlier slates, same pricing and everything. We're just doing it based on we had early only in the afternoon.
I think my main three are Baker, pick your favorite of Green Bay, Minnesota, and then Joe Flacco. Those are kind of my three.
I agree.
That I'm
Yeah. Completely agree with that. And also, just actually, I'm gonna give out the top 5 for every position real quick.
Okay.
Because I think that's helpful. Josh Allen, 15.8. He's first. Jordan Love, 15. Joe Flacco, 12. Sam Darnold at 10. And then Baker at 10. So that's our top 5. Those are the only 5 above 10%, which is good that it's a little spread out for what we're looking at right now. At running back, Tyjae Spears is first at 28.9%. That's a lot.
How much Tajay is too much Tajay today?
I don't think that's actually as much as I expected at 5,400 starting against Jacksonville. The whole thing. Saquon is next at 26.4. He's got no quarterback playing against Dallas. Bucky is our thumbnail at 25.5. It makes sense to me. Aaron Jones is getting a lot of ownership, 21.6%. And then Achan, which I think is crazy on the main slate at 17.5%. That's a lot.
Right below that, just for what it's worth, is Josh Jacobs. But yeah, I'd prefer Jonathan Taylor over both of them. I don't think it's particularly close, unless one of them just double scores touchdowns.
It also depends if we're playing a Joe Flacco line. I would get away, obviously, if I'm playing Joe Flacco line. I'd just go to Josh Jacobs at that point. But yeah, otherwise, there's also receivers that you can pay for at that point too, because Justin Jefferson's 83. Brian Thomas is the number 1 rostered wide receiver, 24.5. He's been absolutely incredible. Actually, I'm going to pull his game log up because we just got to talk about this guy. I don't think I've even pulled it up because we didn't talk about him.
Yeah, look at those
numbers, man. Crazy.
4 touchdowns in 4 games without Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk and Trevor Lawrence. Yeah,
that's what I was going to say.
But back-to-back games over 100 yards. Yeah, he's been incredible, awesome, and I don't really know how to kind of just completely fade him today. Only 68.
Yeah, I was gonna say his price just does not reflect the production he's had, and it's not like he had a dip in games where they weren't good. 14 points, okay, still had a touchdown, 132. Like they're gonna try to get this guy the ball. He's a deep play threat, best deep play threat in the draft class, and he's just a fun guy. So let's go on though. The next guy is Justin Jefferson. He is at 19.8. Josh Downs at 18.6. Mike Evans at 18.4. And then Jacoby Myers at 15.5. And Jalen McMillan at 15.5 for reference. We've talked about all those guys today, so I think that those are pretty reasonable guys to get to.
One we talked at least about was Jacoby, just because we didn't really do any kind of New Orleans and Vegas correlation.
Right.
But I don't know if standalone we had to force some Raiders in. Do you want to go to the Brock side or Jacoby side of things?
I mean, I probably actually do.
Brock is the only true stud on this slate because we can almost cancel out Jonnu because of weather / quarterback
issues.
And then the next highest tight end is TJ Hawkinson, who hasn't scored since he's been back, and it's Kincaid, who hasn't scored since he's been back, and then it's Brendan Strange. So that's why it's such a big deal to try to get up to Brock if you can. Because
the problem is Brock is the same price as Brian Thomas.
Get it both.
Okay.
we built a line earlier.
No, I know, but it's like that's the problem is like at 6,700 you have to kind of think like he's $500 more than Aaron Jones. Like I don't know if I can justify playing him and not Payne Durham for freaking $2,900. You know what I mean? Like that's my problem with it. I don't know that I can justify that. And Payne Durham's only showing at 5.8%. So Brock is showing as the highest rostered tight end actually on the slate at 13.4. So
Yeah, and then followed by Jake Ferguson, TJ Hawkinson, both at about 11.5%. Chico Okonkwo,
Interesting. Yeah,
I
he had a
guess he's
ton of
getting
targets.
squeezed a little bit because he's had 3 straight games.
Two games.
No, 3.
Is it 3?
No, 2.
Two. Okay. Yeah.
Back-to-back games with over 10 targets, 13.9 and 19.1 respectively, but his price only increased by 200. Yeah, I think he's going to get squeezed a little bit because Calvin Ridley's pulling ownership. Tajay Spears is obviously the highest owned running back. I mean, not against getting to him if you want to, but I don't know if he excites me as much as I thought he would coming into the week.
The Gale did say, who else they're going to throw to? BT to the moon. I mean, we talked about it a lot. He was like one of the steals of the draft, along with the cornerback class, obviously. So yeah, we really like Brian Thomas. Cam actually thought he would possibly go in the top all the way up to 12 if possible. So really love him, of course. And then Brock, another guy from this class, has been great. He said if Brock wins you tight end position, price might be worth it. Weird slate. I get it, but it's like,
listen to the Gale.
Oh gosh.
Just listen to him.
All right. Well, we'll find a way to get some Brock because truly we're over the field no matter what if we get some Brock in our lines today. So
my target goal is 2 if we can, but I don't know if we'll be able to because we have interest in Joe Flacco and then also Aiden O'Connell.
Some cheap guys.
If we want one Aiden line, obviously he's going to go in there. And then if we want Flacco, we made it early only with Flacco earlier and was able to fit him and Brian Thomas. So, yeah, and then defense-wise, to round up the ownership, Raiders showing numbers. 18%, really high, but again, New Orleans 0 points this past week. Philly, my favorite defensive price doesn't matter on the slate at 15.6. Miami at 10.7. I understand ugly low total. If you can get there, I guess go ahead. The Jets at 2,100 kind of spoke to me earlier in the week, but because of all the bad weather games and them being a 10-point dog, it's kind of tough. Cleveland at 2,400, just 300 more expensive and lower owned. I'd rather get there. And then Dallas, just for what it's worth, 7.7% owned. I'm intrigued by them. If you don't think that Philly's going to put up 30 plus points,
it's hard to think they're going to put up 30 plus points with Kenny Pickett starting. There's a lot of backup quarterbacks, like we said, so you can find a lot of places. One of the teams, obviously, if you can get to Buffalo, but they are playing a starter, so that's a completely different thing. Where do you want to start quarterback wise? Because I think there's a lot of options here.
Let's start with Joe Flacco.
I don't want to hear Alec Pierce bomb today. That is the one thing I don't want to hear.
Is that the call out?
He just said, when the world is on downs, they're gonna go for the bomb.
Here's my question. Obviously, we're playing Joe Flacco today. We typically do 5 lines. Are you wanting just 1 or 2 with him?
2.
Okay. So my thought is, what if we went with just a single with the Josh Downs on 1, and then the other? Obviously, we have to decide between, unless you want to get up to Taylor, like I proposed in one of our early onlys. Pittman and Pierce are the same price,
right?
And right now, ownership wise, Pierce is half the ownership of Pittman, only at 3.2%.
I did want to say one other thing because we didn't talk about this guy earlier, but Adonai Mitchell had 89% of the snaps last week. I know that didn't necessarily
Pierce
turn into.
was also out due to a concussion, so.
Right? That didn't really turn into anything, but he is, basically splitting snaps with Pierce. So.
Yeah,
you want a tournament play. You want
the week before, Alec Pierce, 46%, and then AD Mitchell with 49%. But again, AD is not really doing anything with those snaps this year. He's been a complete dud. He went to just a terrible situation for him to succeed. So
he's 1.4% owned though. I'm just spitballing.
I mean, yeah, receivers kind of gross down low. So if you want to save something and you want to correlate it as well, like, feel free to go ahead. I just probably am not doing it personally.
That's fine.
I'd rather either do a Pittman or a Pierce. And because the Gale's on Pierce, I might just rely on the vibes,
All right, fair. Well, we do know who's going in first, though. And I know that, he's our backup. He's our double stack here. Yes, at Brandon Weatherman. Thank you, Stacker. I appreciate that. But no, our backup would be Pierce. He would be our second guy. Looking at this, though, do you want to double on this first one, or do you want to leave it single?
That's a good question.
There's no bring back, so
But yeah, we're not doing a bring back if we're doing the Giants today. Put in Cleveland. Yeah. Let's do a single for now and see if we want to later we can.
gotcha.
But what's up?
The Gale said, "I'm scared of Pierce. Not sure if I'm on him though." I completely agree.
Don't come back. I just did a soliloquy on how I was vibing with you, and we were gonna
He said
toast to it and everything.
he wants to play both
Come to the new
sides
year with a
here.
bang.
Wants to play both sides. Because if Pierce does well, I
Yeah.
mean,
Okay, well, let's just put in BTJ.
yeah,
and
fine. Tyja.
and yeah.
Okay.
All right, sweet.
Next,
Now
we have so
got
much
about
money.
exactly. So put in Brock Bowers just because vibes.
Oh, okay.
And again, I wanted to bring up earlier Kendra Miller because nobody's playing him. He is 1.8% owned on the main slate on an 8-gamer. I think that's pretty crazy. He's not projecting well, but I think I want to force him in one line today. And if we wanted to correlate with a Brock or a Jacoby, that might be the perfect time to do so.
Yes,
but I don't know if we need to do that in this one because we're already going cheap.
Okay. Well, that's fine. Stagger, he's talking about Brian Thomas. How do we want to do running back? How do we want to do? How about this? How do we want to do Tampa Bay, Carolina?
Is Bucky. Okay. Bucky on this line. How much Bucky that we're going to get is
going to be too much Bucky.
Not too much. I don't think.
Well,
because I think we're both on the same page. We're probably not going to put him at 100%, but probably going to get 3 to 4 lines of him. I think that's pretty safe to say.
Okay. That's fair.
Now, last guy in. We also still don't have any, other than the defense, anybody in the 3 o'clock games.
Okay.
To make it easy, Aaron Jones plus Jaden Reed kind of works. If you didn't like that, we could go down and go up from Bucky. But money-wise, that made sense when I was mathing.
I just don't want a Jaden Reed on main. Why does Jaden Reed scare me more than anybody?
Because they just aren't using him like they should be. But he's less than 10% owned right now.
Funniness, I'd rather pick Adam Thielen. Just $200 cheaper. I think I'm more okay. Chat, help me out here. Adam Thielen or Jaden Reed.
We're gonna play plenty of Adam. How much Adam?
I just want to see what everybody thinks.
Okay, but
truly,
how much Adam Thielen are you wanting today?
Well, I know we're gonna play more Adam Thielen because we're gonna play some Baker stacks.
Yeah, exactly.
But they
are literally projected 0.05 different from each other, and the ownership wise, Adam's actually more popular.
The Gale 2.5%. The Gale thinks Thielen.
Oh, come on. I'm just kidding.
I think I side with Thielen here in this line in general. I don't know that you have to go with Brock here, and I think I'd rather go JJ and a cheaper.
Can you go JJ Dobbs? Who would the tight? Who's your favorite 3K tight end today?
3K tight end. Let's see. Jake. Probably.
Okay, from State Farm.
Or Jake, I guess. I would say I probably side with Jake of the two.
Okay, well then put Jake in.
Okay.
You twisted my arm.
I'm going all the way up.
All right. Put in JJ. That's still 7,000 remainder. Imagine. No.
I want $200
to get to Cook.
Either Cook or if we want to go up higher, even. Who am I pulling out? Nobody. There's no good option.
Just idea.
Well, I
could take out Bucky and put in Saquon.
Oh,
just as I'm just doing math, but put in Saquon. Last man in is Romeo Dobbs or a second indie player.
Okay. What about? So I'm not against that. I wanted to look at doing Aaron Jones in 75, which
so 2 Minnesota players. Because we put in JJ.
Oh. No, you're right.
Yeah, I am.
What about Josh Jacobs?
So I'm not against it, but again, what does that open up though? If we do that, because that gives 56. That's 100 short of your
damn
Thielen.
Yeah, it is. Nobody.
Kendra.
Oh, it's Calvin Ridley is what it would be. I already have a Tennessee player. All right, yeah, let's go to Saquon.
Let's go Saquon.
Okay.
And then Dobbs. What do y'all think? Like Green Bay wise, obviously it's always frustrating to try to put stands on guys, but is there a Green Bay player that stands out to you of the receiver / tight end position, the pass catchers between Jaden Reed 59, Romeo 51, Tucker Kraft and Dontavian Wicks both 39? If you had to take stands on one today, is there somebody that you would that you're feeling vibey with?
Are you asking the chat or me? Because
everybody, I want answers.
I need answers for Green Bay. No, yeah, Green Bay's impossible. Gary's always wrong. First off,
our one
Dobbs
Packer
and Wicks,
our Packer and our Viking fan are not here.
Yeah,
so
what the heck? Wake your roommates up.
Yeah,
I would probably side with Dobbs. Funny enough, I'm on the Dobbs train. He's my favorite Green Bay. And then give me Tucker Kraft second.
I mean, doing that in the bring back of Jefferson.
He's not occupied.
He's occupied at the moment.
Told a friend who's in the championship for fantasy to play Flacco. Craziness.
Probably will be Kraft for 3 touchdowns. Yeah, that's how it usually works. Yeah, but we'll have some Kraft today. I definitely want to get to Kraft. I think based on the ownership, I don't want to play Wicks because we just keep on putting him as the 3,900 or the cheap Green Bay. That, one receiver's down, he's going to go off, and he just still doesn't. And right now, he's shown us the most popular pass catcher for the Packers at 12.2%. A lot of that because, again, receivers just kind of gross below $4,000. But I'd rather, if I'm doing any kind of double, I'm not going to be playing him.
Hey, Gail, pick. Tell me your favorite quarterback for the day, and we'll build a line with him.
Yeah.
After we finish, because I'm doing a
Jordan build.
Yeah, and I'm doing Dobbs and Tucker Kraft because
we
talked about it. It's happening. It's happening.
Boosha.
All right, here we go.
Well, I'm already not happy.
No, I don't care.
Okay.
Which Minnesota player do you want? That's the real question.
I think Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones.
I don't know if we're able to get to JJ in this line.
Well, I can always just throw in the normal suspects.
Tajay.
Brian.
BTJ.
Okay. And then I have 7,000. Oh, that's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
That's reasonable.
Ooh. Teacher.
Yes.
Put in Bucky instead of Aaron Jones.
And then go up.
And then go to JJ.
Math. 52.
Math. That's enough for
anybody
we want.
I would probably go down.
Favorite.
Do you want to go up at defense?
That's what I was about to say.
Oh, okay.
We're on the same page.
28 is what we'd have.
I'd probably still prefer the Raiders.
Okay, fair. Oh, we need to play some Raiders. I mean, I know that we're trying to not play the chalk completely, but like they're the chalk for a reason. Josh Downs. Bam. Let's see.
It's pretty solid.
Baker. Hey, the Gale likes Baker too. Hey, we're on Baker too. Okay. So we've had a lot of Baker love today. You might have missed our early only, but he was my Baker,
we had a really
Joe Flacco, and Jordan Love are the 3 we're probably playing the most. There's your Dobbs Kraft build though.
Yeah.
With Justin Jefferson, Bryant. Man, I love that. That's pretty. All right, let's go ahead and make a Baker build then. That was my next option anyways.
Okay, so are we just doing the expensive ones, or do you want to be different?
I want to play Mike Evans.
Why? He's not going to be in a Baker stack, but I'm saying the secondary option. Are we going with the Bucky? Are we going with the Jalen? Or are we going with the Payne Durham?
Okay, so we did build some normal lines earlier. I think a fun tournament line would be, obviously, we talked about it. Payne Durham is the least owned player in this on this team.
5.8%.
5.8, and then I know that Bucky's probably 25, and then Jalen McMillan's 15. So why not? Let's take some. Let's use Payne Durham as our.
I feel like most people are going to be doing McMillan and Evans with a double.
Right. So why don't we do a little bit different and go this way? And then Carolina.
Don't want him. I'm just kidding. Yeah, let's go.
Do we want Thielen? Okay. Well, Coker's an option. I mean, Coker is an option, and he's really cheap. So
I feel better if Legette's out. I'm still waiting on news. Obviously, we're 9 minutes from an active list coming out.
He's still questionable in here.
Yeah, we're still waiting on some stuff.
Yeah, Chad, if y'all we're playing Tajay. Thank you, Steiger. We're playing a lot of Tajay today. Maybe every line.
Yeah, we are.
Every line of Tajay. But yeah, 5,400. I'll put him in for you. Thank you, man.
Okay.
No, I think. Okay, Chad, I need y'all to make sure if y'all see anything for inactives, y'all throw it in there. But I think we'll just go Thielen for now, and
Yeah, let's do
then we
Thielen.
can build it a different way if we want to in a minute.
Okay.
Brian.
62.
Could I go up and down? I'd rather go high and low, I think.
High and low.
I think so.
So we would fade the Minnesota Green Bay game?
Not necessarily.
Well, what else are we going to do? It running back for less than $4,000?
Less than 4,000? Yeah,
Mhm.
you're right. No, 41.
I'm not playing Raheem Black here. I'm sorry. I can't do it.
Fine. Josh Jacobs.
Can't do it.
Can't do it?
No, I can't.
Okay.
I can't.
I just rather.
Put in Aaron Jones.
But then you have no receivers
Damn
that are
right you
worth
do.
it.
Jaden Reed.
No,
right
shut up.
300 cheaper. Yeah. Or you can go off of. Let's see.
What time Spears gonna make or break me today? No, for sure. No, yeah, I'm gonna have way too much Tajay Spears today, guys, and it's gonna scare me.
Not way too much. I feel great about Tajay Spears today.
I'm gonna have 100%.
He would have been my thumbnail if I knew that Tony Pollard.
Well, yeah, of course. I think we'll probably be 100%. And like, if you have one guy that's 100%, it's Tajay Spears, and
that's so fun.
I'm not mad about it.
I'm having a great time. Okay.
$5,400.
Let's put a button on it.
Well, we can. Yeah, I mean, I can throw in Jaden Reed. I don't think anybody in chat likes Jaden Reed either. I think we're gonna lose viewership.
So you can you can go. Let's see.
We can always just throw Jacoby in there.
We'll take out Adam Thielen
because we like him. Can I put Coker in? Is that okay?
Sure.
I don't think people hate Coker.
I don't hate him either.
75? Oh, I already have Mike Evans. Just kidding. That was almost cool. I was just shit. Well, James Cook. We haven't played him, but he's in a great game environment.
Or we can get off Payne.
Or we go to Bucky, I guess. But no, we can't. No,
we can.
We go off Payne.
Go to Fergie and then go to enough for Bucky. Or you can go to or we can try take him out real quick.
Okay.
And then you go to McMillan. Never mind.
No, we can't. Can't do that. Can't do that. Can you single stack Baker? That's not real.
I don't want to. It's not that you can't. I just don't want to.
I agree.
There's just too many options that can go off.
How about we
Brock Bowers?
Stop it. What was I gonna do? No, now I'm confused. Shit. You said Brock Bowers. I'm gonna put Bucky in. We're gonna double him.
Okay.
That way. Even knowing y'all saw the Payne Durham build, it's fine.
So then, yeah, what we were just doing was Jake and
let me go
Aaron Jones.
Is that all 12 o'clocks?
Except for Aaron Jones.
Oh,
and Cleveland defense.
Okay. Jordan Addison. Be different, guys.
No. It would be different, but I just don't want to.
Yeah, I think that. Let's see, Baker. So a double with the bring back with Jalen Coker, and then some standalone options. But Tajay and Brian, of course, are going to be in every line. So yes, Steiger, we are playing all of your fantasy players. Don't you worry. We're playing Tajay. We're playing Brian Thomas as much as possible. Don't you worry. That is the plan. Griff has a question. Griff said, I got a Cowboys calendar in a white elephant gift exchange yesterday. Ended up being 2 of them. I'm burning them today.
I would.
Okay.
Why not? You know, it's about to get chilly this week, so you need some warmth, and
got to change things up, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, you can come to the New Year's Eve party, and we'll burn them in this fire. But yeah, I think this line makes a lot of sense. So
it does.
What else do we want to do, or do we want to go to the?
I want a line with Brock Bowers. So
Oh, Cameron.
go back to the other slate real quick.
They can't see what I'm doing.
Okay.
So don't worry
You're
about
right,
it.
You're right.
Okay, we're gonna put Brock Bowers in.
Yes.
I'm just gonna
Just
we're-
that's the line.
okay.
That's the line.
That's it.
Right there.
It's like, so should we just do all of our standalones? Like,
No. My question is, do you want any AOC builds today?
let's make one if we're gonna put.
All right, I know what to do. So what we're gonna do is we're going to put in Jacoby Myers,
of course,
and we're gonna put in Kendra Miller as a bring back.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Considering there's nobody's on him.
Yeah. Why not?
55.
Now I don't know if we want to go double cheap running back. We'll come back to that, but we need some Green Bay and Minnesota exposure,
Yeah.
right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put in Justin Jefferson.
Of course.
I'm
Okay.
having so much fun right now. Now, let's put in Dobbs.
Okay. 51.
Yep. And then put in, I don't know what that last guy would be. Tajay would make it.
I don't want to play
whatever.
Tajay.
That's fine. We don't have to. Yeah. 52 is, no, we're not putting in Rashad White.
Let's go higher. Take me.
Bucky.
No? Okay.
Put in Bucky.
That's what I just did. Oh, I had
No, you
Rashad.
had
Oh, that's my bad.
Yeah.
I wondered why it was so weird
That's why I
number
was mad at you.
price wise.
Okay.
Take me higher.
Let's see.
I don't think anybody I like is 4,200. So
That is, it's pretty awkward.
I needed 43.
You can go down to,
Well, Christian Watson's out. I mean, you could, well, let's not have a bring back. Go down $100. Play Tajay. Stagger's happy. Everybody's happy. Everybody's playing Tajay today. Here he is. Ta-da. 4,300s. Coker. Yeehaw.
I guess so.
it just generically works.
All right. Well, thank you for letting me get that out of my system.
No
now
problem.
we can move on.
Here for you.
All right. Sweet.
Where am I going though? That's the
I
real
don't
question.
know. We got 2 minutes until inactives come out. We can start on a prime time. We can look at the showdowns. What do y'all want to do?
Well, I was gonna say, there are 2 showdowns that we actually already kind of mapped out today. If y'all would rather do the Atlanta versus Washington showdown, or would y'all rather do the Detroit versus San Francisco showdown? Both we already have kind of gone over, but there's some good value in both, and I think that the Atlanta showdown's harder to get like a nice line with, but
it very much is. Plus, there's possible weather.
Yep. I'm waiting. Let's see it.
Ian Rappaport says that Garrett Wilson could request trade if Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback in 2025.
I would like
probably
Garrett Wilson to go anywhere else.
Please.
He's so good at football. Just don't leave him there. Wasted talents. Let's do the tougher one. Okay, so we'll do Atlanta. That's fine. Then I'll pull that one up. I think I'm already on it. Oh, it's a UFC opener. That's cool. Let's share that. Look, guys, you can get a UFC ticket in this one.
Nice.
All right, let's talk about it.
I can't believe they go a whole month without a single contest or slate. Yeah.
I mean, they go all year round, though.
I understand, but I'm kind of deprived right now. All I have is football to gamble on.
Yeah,
and I like doing a lot of
no
things.
NASCAR.
Exactly.
We have basketball.
We got about healthy
months,
6 weeks.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Daytona,
not long.
So a lot of fun.
All right, so let's talk about. Okay, what is your thoughts on this game total?
So I think I did.
Actually, pretty similar
to the slate. So I said a 31-20 Washington game. I just think that if they put over 24 up on Atlanta, I think Atlanta will have a hard time keeping up score-wise. So I'm going to go ahead and give them the benefit of the doubt that they just keep on scoring points. The tough thing is just the weather makes it really, really hard.
Yeah.
Because I had my fade being Brian Robinson. And now that there's weather, a B-Rob line sounds pretty nice. But it's going to be hard to get there if you went that route.
Yeah, I'm actually Washington 27-14, so I completely agree. In games where Atlanta plays good teams, they suck, and they've had a really hard time moving the ball. Of course, Michael Penix is now the quarterback, but Michael Penix was my 6th ranked quarterback in the draft class, and he was a 2nd rounder in my opinion. So that is still yet to be seen. But in the first game, 202, I think he had like 66-ish% completion, and
He
he had
played
an
much better than
interception.
his fantasy stats indicated.
Right,
If
right,
you
right.
just base like your impact or your thoughts on just that, you obviously wouldn't really see much. But yeah, he did play pretty well. He
Yeah.
just didn't win his money, and it was kind of sad.
Yeah, I mean, they ran the ball a lot. What
Yeah.
can I say?
NFL pitch just here you
Sucks.
go.
That was hilarious.
Yeah,
It was
it's very bad.
That was hilarious. So yeah, I'm kind of on that side that I don't think Atlanta can score against good offense or good teams. They're not going to score enough. And so 27-14, that actually puts everybody in play, in my opinion, except for my one fade in this game was. Oh, I didn't put a fade because I didn't know what to do with the
Well,
fades.
we can just say
there's
Kyle
a
Pitts, don't play him.
Don't play Kyle Pitts. Fine.
No.
He hurts you in general. But my must play was Drake London at 9,400 because you already took Jaden Daniels, which is more than reasonable.
94 he's your must play.
He's got to be, I think. He's a standalone type of must play at 9,400 in my opinion.
Okay.
Price wise.
Okay. Well, we'll see how we can build that. Obviously, it affords a lot more if you can do that. Tough.
Yeah, okay. But Jaden Daniels, I think, is a reasonable must play. He is 11.8. And these, of course, are not the right prices. There you go. 11.8.
There you go.
So you can see it.
But it is worth noting Noah Brown out for the year. De'Ami Brown left the game last week. He will not play today. And Olamide Zaccheaus was the big beneficiary. Caught 2 touchdowns, had 7 targets last week, over 20 fantasy points. Him being at 6,400, being the only guy between 8,400 and 5,400.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people are going to flock to kind of an expensive one game sample of Zaccheaus. So I think he's interesting if you were doing Washington doubles or anything of that nature. Just want to point him out.
I put Ray as my contrarian play. He's 5,400 and he had 4 targets this last game. Nothing special, but he's kind of just been sitting. He has upside though of 12 plus points, and at 5,400, I'd be very happy to get 12 points out of him. So he's my contrarian play.
It's also worth noting that right now Luke McCaffrey is showing us the highest value of all guys that are probably going to have a stat with 3.96 projected, only $1,600. But even with De'Ami Brown getting hurt this past week, he only played 9 snaps.
Right.
So it's not like he was a big benefit. And obviously pure tournament play, but he does open up some money. Zach Ertz also pretty cheap at 4,400.
I love Zach Ertz, even knowing he destroys rookie tight ends.
Hey, but we're gonna get a 20th round Ben Simmons next year, and it's gonna be
I'm
really
very
fun.
excited about that. Okay, let's get to it though. Where do you want to start? Obviously, Jaden Daniels will be in our line, but who do you want to put up top at captain?
I want to just put Jaden Daniels up top.
Okay, well,
get right into it.
I almost picked Bijan as my must play. But I was like, I can't really
Oh, we can do it.
I don't know.
We can do it.
Okay. Do you want to put him in?
Sure.
Okay. Well,
right.
We're out of money really
quick.
We
are.
So best 2 players. You need some receivers, obviously, on the Washington side. Let's put
Ertz.
44. I was gonna say probably have to put Terry in, but he's 10-2.
Okay.
Be reasonable. There's 2 players. You could
I think that's enough for kicker plus Luke, if I'm mathing correctly. Also, just want to point out KJ Osborne being signed there recently. He hasn't played with Washington yet, but just worth noting with De'Ami Brown also out now. Maybe he is activated and is less owned than a Luke, and you say $400.
So you don't get to Zane by $100. So you would have to play the other side of it and Riley Patterson, which is fine. I mean, we've seen multiple slates this year where the losing team's kicker is optimal. It kicker is so hard in general. So let's just say that this is. I mean, I don't hate that, honestly.
Yeah, it's not a bad line. We made it work.
Now, let's switch over. I'm gonna put Jaden up there again.
Is there
I want to play Terry in a line with him.
I'm not looking. I don't think this is a slate where I'm going to play multiple lines. But is there even a cheap, viable captain or like a mid tier captain?
I think Zach.
Or is it just straight up put Bijan or Jaden in and try to fit up high low build, kind of similar to what we just did?
Zach Ertz.
66.
Just good fall in the end zone. Can you play Zacchaeus a captain?
Imagine.
That
I
would
don't
be a
think you could.
crazy take. No, I think Zach is my favorite cheap
Okay.
captain. Stay away from Kyle Pitts, everybody.
Yeah,
He hurts souls.
he does.
So we'll go there. We'll get Jaden. We'll throw in Bijan. I want to put Drake in. 5,600 for 2 players is. What do you hate?
Well,
Can
that's
you
enough.
fade Terry?
I think you can if you went. I think it comes down to if you want. Well, you don't have either guy, but I was gonna say it could come down to either Brian Robinson or Terry. But you seem like you feel pretty good about Drake London today.
I do.
So
I think he gets peppered.
all right.
So
Hmm.
do you have a lean on
Well,
the next guy?
organically on this one, it doesn't. Nothing really kind of comes to mind because Zacchaeus, you don't get either kicker, and I don't really want to play either defense.
Can you
But you
just
can play Washington.
Yeah,
I
you
think
can.
they're 4,400, so it's not terribly priced.
42?
42.
42.
That's not bad.
What about putting Michael Penix in and getting both quarterbacks?
Interesting.
And then 2,400 gives you a backup running back for
Yeah, that would be their third string. Jeremy McNichols has been getting most of the snaps. He actually has had 28% each of the last 2 games. Chris Rodriguez only 3 and 7 snaps.
Yeah. So
in
stay
the
away
previous
from
2
that.
weeks.
I would say then probably Luke McCaffrey is just the last guy in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is a slate where I just want to get it expensive captain and just
I agree.
work it out.
Throw the studs in there and go from there. I think there's a lot of options though. So you could, the problem is my must play. If I put him at captain, I feel like I have to get his quarterback, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And then that makes it really hard to just be like, let's go.
Then you fade both running backs.
Yeah. It's going to be hard to get to the top. But you could like go here, I guess, and get that as your.
No,
that's
we
gross.
can't do that.
Well, no, you can't do it. I wanted to see if you go Zach Ertz, but it's not.
Well, take out Zacchaeus. You can go put in Terry.
Scary Terry.
And that's enough for a $3,000 Jeremy McNichol or 2,800 or Jamison Crowder if you think he's the option over
right.
Zacchaeus. He also caught 2 touchdowns last week. He just had no
other stats
other than that. I think he had 3 for 14 and 2 touchdowns.
I'll tell you right now. 2 for 15 and 2 touchdowns.
Oh yeah, even crazier. So, but yeah, that was only his second game since week 3 with the team. But he did play a season high 46% of the snaps. A lot of that came, out of the slot and all that good stuff. So, $3,000 reasonable price. If you can get up to him, I'd prefer him much more over Luke.
Yeah, I get that. I think that the problem is just like looking at the snap count wise, Luke isn't playing, and then it's Terry and then 2B basically, and you just have to figure out who's 2B this week. 6,400 for Zacchaeus. I get what you were saying, but at the same time, it's really easy to just fade him.
I just feel like a lot of people are going to go high low, and so he forces you to have a balanced build,
right?
And so that's kind of why that gave me the idea.
So let's, I think that the how we talked about it's good. Let's go over one more. We're going to talk about the Monday Night Football slate between the Detroit Lions and the San Francisco 49ers. Do you have the total on this game? And is there any weather implications?
So there's possible rain in San Fran tomorrow, but it won't be as bad as any of the games that we play today.
Okay.
It is still the highest total for the rest of the weekend at 50.5. That kind of seems like the common theme of Detroit games. But, obviously San Fran, again, they're out of the playoff hunt, but Brock Purdy's playing for a lot of dollar signs. So, I think it'll be a fun DFS slate. I think it'll be more fun than tonight's actually.
Oh, yeah. No, I completely agree. I think if you look at so let's talk about our game script and everything. I had it 34-24, which was why I was kind of teetering on like Detroit -4. But you had it 27-24. So it's very close in how we saw this game. I actually, 58 points. I'm taking the over. You are too, I think.
Just over.
Yeah, just over. I just think
it was a sweat until that last field goal.
Yeah. Detroit has scored 34 points in 3 straight. they've had too much firepower. I don't think San Francisco can keep up with them. Basically, I think the injuries are a problem. Trent Williams being out's tough. They just signed Hennessy to a 2-year deal at left tackle. Basically, just too much talent on the Detroit side, but they are lacking on in their edge pressure and then also in their secondary. So there's still points to be scored by San Francisco. We're just gonna have to figure out how they do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then for you, what'd you say?
Yeah, so I said 27-24 with Detroit. Both are looking really good, but Detroit is just out of bodies defensively. And even though Purdy and San Francisco is eliminated, they're still playing well fantasy wise. At the end of the day, last week we went with Patrick Taylor because Isaac Grindo was out.
Right.
But Debo was the same price. And we didn't even talk about him.
I'm dumb for that.
And
I feel so dumb for that.
Felt shameful because he obviously went off and maybe we were still upset about him and the showdown a couple weeks ago where he just said, I just need to touch the ball. And he
dropped the touchdown.
All of it.
Yeah.
All of it.
I know.
But yeah, that was pretty shame on us. But Grindo is back today or tomorrow, rather. So maybe he doesn't have as much rushing upside, but it's still a secondary that is just out of bodies. Juwan Jennings always projects pretty well, but both of them being under 8,000 makes a lot of things work on this slate.
So funny enough, my fade is Juwan Jennings.
Really?
And the reason my fade is Juwan Jennings is because I'd rather play Debo at the same price. So if you're going to play both, I guess I'm not against it, but like I'm playing Debo over Juwan Jennings is basically what I was saying when I put, Juwan Jennings as my fade.
Gotcha.
There's a couple guys we obviously have to talk about in our must plays. Your must play being Brock Purdy. He's been pretty good.
Yeah, both of our must plays would have been the exact same too.
Yeah.
And it's just lines on this game. We can't get away from Brock Purdy, 9,400. 2 of the last 3 over 25 fantasy points. He's got 300-yard upside, multi-touchdown upside, some rushing upside on occasion. But yeah, he's in a great spot. They're at home. Bad secondary now. And on top of that, cheap, easy options to stack as well.
Right. And then my must play is Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yep.
Why not? 11-6. Mucker's still out in his last 2 games, 28.4. He's just the guy.
Consistent.
he's pretty good at football.
Yeah, they didn't even need him a ton last week in the second half. But yeah, he basically had 100 yards at halftime in the score. Yeah, he's really easy to get to.
Yeah.
That's probably going to make us squeeze it like in a Amon-Ra or a Jared Goff as well.
I know. I was worried about that.
Yeah, that was I picked Jared Goff as the fade, which is kind of scary in one of my leagues in the championship. He is my quarterback. So I hope that is not too crazy of a take, but he's actually been playing well. But San Francisco is much better against the passing game than they are the run game. And I think with Jared Goff's lack of upside, it just comes down to if they score 34 points, is he involved on 3 of these touchdowns? And if he is, you got to play him. And if he isn't, then I think you can get away at 98.
I'm going to so both of us picked Jameson Williams as our contrarian play. I love Jameson Williams at 8,000. I think that price is broken. And he's not going to get ownership like these other guys because you're going to have to pay up to multiple Detroit players. So yeah, give me Jameson Williams at 8,000. My gosh. George Kittle's at 9,000. He's a fine range. I know Steiger is asking us to put George Kittle in the line. I absolutely love George Kittle. We will see. Obviously, I think that he is my favorite stackable option for Brock Purdy. But the price could be an issue more so than anything if I want to get to these other guys.
I think this is the type of slate I kind of want to just punt a 0 with the minimum price and just pay up for 5 studs, and you're going to do well doing that. Projection wise, Chris Conley, we've seen him on a couple of showdown slates be the highest projected, but he hasn't had a stat in a long time. So I don't know why. Like I would force him in, but again, if he gets a 0, if I'm able to do a pay up for a good captain and still have 5 other options that are all involved on scoring opportunities,
right?
This is the type of game to do that, and so that's kind of the first thought that came to mind when I was doing these this first look.
I'm trying to see who actually is getting snaps that's minimum priced.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Other than what is price of? I didn't even put up Eric Saubert, so I'm assuming that he is more expensive than I want him to be. But even
16% of snaps is what he's getting. I don't know how much he costs though. Let's look.
He is. Let's see. He's 1,200. So yeah,
not free.
not touching him. Brock Wright plays a healthy amount, but for 1,600,
That's all.
can't do that.
Fair.
So really, all these cheap options suck. And even Tim Patrick, who's the highest value of all the guys that are probably projected stuff, him being 4,000, like that doesn't allow you to afford a ton. So, spending that high for somebody that's had back-to-back duds, I don't know if I really want to do that. So again, getting this, just give me a 0 and then being able to afford 5 guys up top is kind of what I'm really leaning to.
Where do you want to start? We can let's start with a Brock Purdy build, obviously, and then we'll go to the Jahmyr Gibbs build. Where would it admit, obviously, but
so then let's put up
Kittle.
Throw in minimum price guy.
Okay. Can do.
Is there a single guy that, hey, somebody's injured, he might get some snaps?
Well,
is that
Zylstra actually gets snaps? He actually gets snaps. I don't know.
Last time he caught a pass. It has not happened in a long time.
Okay. Well,
you can't even scroll.
There it is.
Yep. Week 11. I think Sam Laporta was even out that week. So that was the one where we were debating Brock Wright. Ronnie Bell has been a show before. He's got 2 catches there.
I'm not confident.
Chris Conley. He had
1 catch on,
but he's played at least 3 snaps in 6 straight games. No more than 4 on most of them. But
Keyshawn
Vaughn, I don't even know if he'll be active, but if he is, he almost had
49ers practice.
He almost had a snap last week. So
yeah,
let's go with Chris Conley.
Okay, we'll just
do it.
Throw him in there. I think everybody's gonna do that though. But just saying, I'd rather play Zylstra. Funny enough.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna ride with Chris Conley with our San Francisco strong build.
Okay, we're gonna go Kittle.
Well, I don't know if you can with this line.
Oof.
So okay. Unless we went down to one of the mid-tier captains, but the easiest thing to do is just go Jameson, Jennings, and Debo all together, and then just leave some money.
Wait, what?
And Jameson.
Jameson. Okay, okay. What if I did?
And then you could possibly get up to no, you can't get up to Jahmyr.
Well, you could always, because I'm fading Jennings.
Okay. Put in Debo at captain.
I was gonna put Kittle. He's just.
I don't think you can.
He's 300 cheaper. Debo cap. That's fine.
That's enough for Mr. George.
Making it work over here, Steiger. Putting him in.
Yeah, and then that's enough to afford. If you prefer Juwan Jennings, he's projected better for what it's worth. Yeah, this is exactly what I want to do with the showdown like this.
Fair. Let's go the other side of it.
Okay.
Where we put Mr.
Jahmyr
Gibbs a captain. And we try to just shove other players in.
Okay.
Brock. And both of these guys. Or just one of these guys. What do I have? 77.
You can get both tight ends. Does that interest you at all?
64. I'd rather have Jameson. How do I get him?
Are you sure? Because Sam Laporta's been doing really, really well. If you want to look at his game log, he's $5,800. And last he had 14 points. He had 21 the week before with 100 yards.
You want to look at
Do you
want to look at Jameson's game log?
Hey, listen, his baked in, but the week, I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
That's fair. Let's sorry, Kittle.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. I don't think I can do it actually. I was trying to get these 2 guys. Okay. What about just wow, that's a lot of money.
I think it's also a kicker viable slate too. For what it's worth. But obviously you can afford Jake Moody actually.
Yeah. And I'm surprised he won't be there next year. But yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sure.
Why not?
Okay, cool.
Fun stuff.
Well, we appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Let me stop sharing. I don't think we have anything else to do, right?
Well, I was looking for inactives list coming out. I have seen other than Raheem Blackshear is expected to start for the Panthers. So if you're looking minimum price running back as a bring back to a Tampa stack, worth mentioning. I might have to start him by default for one of my championships, so that's pretty sad. And then I think,
I'm looking at Xavier Legette because he matters.
oh yeah, that was one I was looking for. Chase, just for what it's worth, Chase Brown got rolled up on when he was doing a slide, trying to run out the clock yesterday. He avoided a major injury, could play Week 18. Is the update on him?
Legette is active for Week 17 despite his hip and wrist injuries, which is not as fun as I was hoping.
Yeah,
shit,
that isn't.
Is anybody else? Let's see. I think we're good.
I think that was really the only thing that we were waiting on.
Yeah,
and nothing really. I feel like it would have came up in my feed if it was a surprise, big deal. But yeah, good luck to everybody. Let's finish this year strong. Again, no live stream next week. We'll be starting the year in respective areas. He's actually going to the Texans game next week, and I'll be coming back from Dallas, going to the Texas State North Texas game because the Mean Green are gonna get the piss beat out of them by these Bobcats over here.
Go Cats, go.
Yeah, it'll be a whole lot of fun. Hopefully you guys had a Merry Christmas. Hope you have a Happy New Year. Let's finish this year strong. Let's have an even better year next year. If you do have any last second start sit questions or anything of that nature, check us out in the Discord. We'll also be posting our final lines in there as well. And hopefully we just keep on having a great week.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate you hanging out with us, and we will see you on the next one.